but I do like the 2018 Optic Hollow, and I feel that that is a really good gold standard for Josh Allen.
Allen. Extending, and able to find Javonte.
It's gold. It's gold, baby. Gold is hot. Gold is hot.
Like anything when there's a winner or a loser. It hurts, going for the end zone. It's caught.
And I love the 2004 Topps design right here, man. This 2004 Topps Chrome, that same rookie year as Larry Fitz. I guarantee you someone would reach $130 on this Gabe Davis if he puts up another game in a primetime scenario. We talked about the first Thursday night game against the Rams. Gabe Davis goes off for anything like he did in the AFC Championship game. Are you kidding me? Of course, they're going to reach for this card.
Fires it. It's a wide open. Remarkable. Touchdown. Buffalo.
Right now, his 2018 Optic Hollow is $125 raw compared to Josh Allen's at $500. That's a big difference there, Steve, considering that Lamar Jackson had the season that he did.
Pocket collapsing, he's going to dart, he's going to run. Inside the 5, Jackson in for the touchdown. Oh, kind of quick by Lamar Jackson.
I know that that's your boy, so I had to share.
Heck yeah, man. The Mississippi mustache, dude. I'm going to be looking for him in like the 20th round of this draft.
Bushu with time, directing traffic. Now Fowler's middle of the field. Caught. First down, Jacksonville.
Brady only has like 135 different rookie cards made for him, whereas Patrick Mahomes has close to 2,000.
He throws this ball from his shoestring around the guy. That's unreal.
Look at Tua now climbing up in the past 7 days. His growth in buy it now, sold volume and graded cards on eBay is up 70%.
It's by the New England team. Tua first and 10 going deep. And what a catch is made by Waddle.
And with Rookie Ticket Auto, there's fewer cards in this set for Joe Burrow.
And now he fires downfield to Jamar Chase. He got it. Now takes it
It's a first down. We got 1:20 seconds left. Y'all boys gonna play Madden?
It's numbered out of 25. 25 out of 25. It's Gronk doing the Gronk spike. Signature moves. Look how sick that is.
Got it for the touchdown.
T-minus 1 minute.
More juice for the gyro.
Like the juice.
T-minus 50 seconds.
Now, at the point where we're at, it is a lot easier for new people to get up to speed really quick.
T-minus 40 seconds.
Let's go.
That's a W. That's E1. That's E1. That's a W. How many people want to eat a W tonight?
T-minus 30 seconds.
Tyreek Hill taking over our camera. I think there may be a penalty for excessive celebration, but you know what? I'm going to let that one slide.
T-minus 20 seconds.
That's what I'm talking about. Now y'all having some fun.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
Take a deep
4,
breath.
3,
This is it right
2,
here.
1, 0.
Whoa, man, if that countdown does not get you fired up, then I don't know what's wrong with you. Guys, we're back. We're back. We're so fired up because the preseason's really heating up. We got all things football cards, collecting, investing. We've got all kinds of good questions to go through tonight, including some would you rather scenarios, talking about some key skill position players, guys that are moving up in my rankings that I think I want to invest in, guys that are moving down that I want to sell, and we're going to pit these guys against each other. We're going to ask Steve what he thinks, get him to walk through his thought process on why he would pick one over the other. And then also, if you guys have any live snipes you want to throw up from eBay, you have any questions, make sure you drop it in the chat. Also, we want to get your take on which one you would rather have as well, so make sure you stay engaged. I can already see a ton of you guys out there. Steve, you got the Baker Mayfield, Zach Wilson headband going tonight, man. How you feeling?
Oh, man, I feel good. Dressed, preseason ready. I mean, got the sleeveless on. I'm ready to, hit the jugs machine, catch some balls, Yeah, I'm just happy, man. Everyone's kind of in the football mood around town here. And, not necessarily by you, but the mornings are starting to have that crisp fall feeling to them. And you know what that means? That means football's coming. So I'm excited. And, I don't have a lot of high hopes for the Bears, but I think they're going to have a couple good games and show us some light at the end of the tunnel for this year.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I think Mooney is still spending the night with Justin Fields, and I think that was pretty evident on Saturday's game. So that was good to see that. I think Mooney is definitely going to have a big season, and I am most excited about Mooney over anybody else on the Bears team. I didn't really see any. Is Kmet doing all right? I didn't see much action from Kmet. Maybe I missed it, or maybe he was resting or something, but Kmet's another guy I like on that Bears offense.
Seems to be a consensus that he's going to take a big leap this year, which, I mean, I've been kind of sold on him since year one. And I know that tight end is not necessarily a position that you just come out of the box swinging right away. So I've been patient. Bears have had some good tight ends, in my lifetime. So I'd love to see this guy turn into one.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. So, yeah, let me shout out to a couple guys in the chat, man. Look at this. We got Derek Richard coming straight out with the Trey Lance. Only Billy T. Got Billy T in the house. What's good, Billy? Got Boggy in the house. Look at this. Trey Lance appears with the big T, the Superman T on his chest. What's up, folks? Daddy has arrived. Victor says, laugh out loud, didn't the Packers rest up to actually they rested 33 of their starters in that preseason game on Friday against the 49ers, but that didn't stop Trey Lance's card prices from going up even higher, man.
That's going to be one to watch, because just as quickly as they can take an upward swing, and a couple bad games can really adjust things. So, but man, even though I'm not a fan of the guy personally, I am very excited to see what this year has in store for him.
We got a yeehaw from Ramrod out there. Love it. We got Late Stick in the house. Oh, he's got a big tray coming back from PSA this week. Oh, man, I hope you get a 10, brother. Hope you get a 10, but not bigger than Nick Foles. Oh, man, he took a nasty sack. He took a nasty sack on Saturday.
Foles has a very odd cult following in the hobby. I don't know if you've noticed that, but his medium to scarce cards actually sell for a lot more than other backup quarterbacks.
Yeah. Well, he's got a story. He's got a prolific story going back to his Super Bowl winning days with the Eagles. So that definitely helps him out, including that pass that he caught for a touchdown, right?
He's got one of the better nicknames in the hobby that I won't say on the channel, but I'm sure some of you guys are aware of it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Trey Lance and or Derek Richard, if those are different people, they were kind of alluding to it earlier. Annoying. Hey, what's going on, man? Mark Speltz, what's good, man? Let's go.
Mark referring to the playing conditions at Soldier Field, which they're trying. Lori Lightfoot's trying to keep the team from leaving and moving to the suburbs, and then they show up and the field is all wrecked. So not scoring any points there.
Wow, poor man's investing coming with a bold prediction. Davis Mills highest ROI this season. And Davis Mills is such, in my opinion, at this point in the preseason, an enigma because he's on the Houston Texans, a team in the AFC with an absolute loaded conference of teams that have incredible rosters that are much deeper than the Houston Texans, that have a lot more talent than the Houston Texans across the board, with more NFL experience and more NFL experience in the playoffs. And so I just find it extremely unlikely that the Texans make the playoffs, in which point Davis Mills cards would naturally go down in value throughout the season as they lose games, Steve.
Yeah, I'm not saying that, he's elite yet, or even that he will ever be, perhaps, but playing on the Texans, you do have the high potential for a lot of blowout games, and that means a lot of garbage time. So even if they don't win a lot of games, he might win some people their fantasy leagues or other things, and maybe set a few records for Texans quarterback, perhaps. So that's one to watch.
And see, that's where there's a clear line, or not a clear line. It's actually not clear at all. But that's where fantasy differs from cards, because in fantasy football, you don't care if the team wins or not. You just care about the actual player production. I think Davis Mills, based on where he's being drafted right now in fantasy drafts, like single quarterback leagues, you can get Davis Mills in like round 15 or 16. Super flex, you could probably still get him in like round 4 or 5 when quarterbacks are at a premium. But in cards, like his rookie ticket auto is costing, his rookie ticket auto, like, I don't know if you comp the recent values of this card, Steve, but this is a card that's going for like $200-$300. He's gotten up there with these other like elite, not elite, because none of them are elite yet, but they have elite draft capital, let's say, like all the guys that were drafted in the first round from last year, the Mac Jones, the Justin Fields, the Trey Lance, the Zach Wilson, all those guys drafted in the first round. His rookie card values are the same as theirs, but he's also got the same, like if you look at what Jamar Chase's rookie ticket auto is currently selling for. These guys are pretty much at the same value, and that just seems that like that's going to change, as the season progresses.
Yeah, it's getting a little harder to get into, some Davis Mills cards. So not that there's not deals to be had, but it is getting a little harder. His prices are getting to the point where it's like, is there room to grow? And that's kind of the whole argument we've had for Mac Jones, Trey Lance this whole time is their cards are already so expensive. Is there any room for them to grow still? And I think that's like not a debate that they're desirable, but it's a debate of, can they be profitable still?
Win. If these guys go out and they assist their teams in getting wins, even if they don't have the greatest games, even if they throw a couple interceptions, maybe a fumble, if their team is winning and they're in conversation, they maybe get one vote from one judge out there because their team's winning, they're playing okay for an MVP consideration. Now all of a sudden we see those values go up continuously throughout the season. But once they start to fall off, you got to understand that hype has a certain level of expectations baked into that card value. So when we talk about a player being hyped up like Davis Mills, there are wins, there are expectations of a certain level of performance and wins baked into the current card value that is not necessarily going to pan out when you look at the entire AFC, when you look at the entire NFL. It's just not going to happen. Does he pay off in fantasy? Absolutely. Davis Mills is a guy that I'm very bullish on in round 13, 14 in single quarterback leagues. But in cards, I'm not touching them right now because I feel that at the end of November, beginning of December, when the Texans are like, 3-6, I have no problem going in and buying me a nice Davis Mills cards for a fraction of the price it's currently at.
Yeah, and one thing to consider too is like there's not really pressure on him to have a winning record. Like obviously they're going to try their damnedest to do it, but Trey Lance, for example, there's people that think he's going to step in and take them to the playoffs. Now I don't think that that's true, but if he doesn't, that is going to be a shortfall for investors, right? So that's something to keep in consideration.
Yeah, very true. So let's dig into some of my rankings. Some of these guys I've got moving up, I've got moving down. How many cards? So poor man's is saying, before we move on, he's saying he's way down compared to the others. How many autos can you get for $60 to $75? I see $200 to $300 for a floor on the others. So this is very interesting. So you're telling me I can find an autograph card. Okay, maybe non-serial numbered, maybe from like I do see. So let me share my screen here and let's look at some of these recently sold items from Davis Mills, and let's compare them to some of the elite skill position players real quick from 2021 to do like a quick comping process. So maybe you're talking about this one here, poor man. Do you have something else to go by? I feel kind of weird calling you poor man, but I mean, I guess that's what your profile name is. Maybe you should put up a picture of yourself. That would help us give you a better nickname. But until then, I guess we'll just have to call you poor man. But poor man's investing. And so anyway, so he's saying you can get it for less. So I do see like a base Donruss here. This card is, I'm pretty sure it's a sticker auto too, isn't it, Steve? But this sold for $82. Is basically just like a short print autograph insert. Yeah, it is a sticker auto, and it's from base Donruss.
You have to remember too that it's not just that he's a quarterback, but you know, some of the guys that you're going against when you're comparing prices were first round draft picks. So that does take into consideration the value, initial value anyway.
Yeah, like I'm seeing like, so rookies and stars, it's a lesser desirable set. You know, obviously the patch isn't from any specific game. We do have a serial number 8 out of 25 here, so this isn't bad. I would just argue that like this design, I don't know about you guys out there, but looking at this card here, it like where's the chrome finish? Where's the like laser design? Oh man, the edges and corners on this are rough as hell too. Yeah,
beat up.
It's beat up, sticker auto. So this card doesn't do a whole lot, in my opinion. You know, so I mean, I could see why that one went for 100, but I'm having a hard time. Like, I mean, just like looking at okay, so Playbook's another one of those lesser desirable sets. You have a sticker auto here again, and you know, this is not going to have like a really nice chrome finish to it or a thick cardstock that we typically like to see when we're looking for it. And plus, look, you have some white corners there. I feel like I'm going to find a lot of that when I'm looking for Davis Mills autograph cards under 100.
I'll be honest, I don't. What the comments said that there was autos of his for $60 to $70. I really haven't seen any, but if you happen to come across some, definitely share so that some people in the community can get involved with those.
If we were looking for 2021 Davis Mills rookie ticket auto to get a good comparison, just a base contenders rookie ticket auto, non-serial numbered. This card also is notorious for having some edge and corner whitening issues as well. This is currently closed in auction for 3 days ago. Would have been a Monday night auction. I know DC Sports 87. They're becoming infamous for doing just like a million auctions on Monday night. This one closed for $170. I think that's going to be about a run-of-the-mill. Here's an optic base one that sold for $210. So this is kind of what I look at as the gold standard for autograph cards, and I think a lot of people would agree. I'd love to get your opinion out there in the chat. You guys are just tuning in. You know, we're talking about Davis Mills autograph cards here, and we're comparing them to some other elite skill position players. So this one is numbered out of 99. Now let's go look at what a Jamar Chase rookie ticket auto is currently selling for. I just exited out of eBay as my shortcut. That's okay.
It's interesting because the Jamar Chase having the near quarterback card value is a bit similar to the whole Jerry Rice thing too, right? People are kind of already putting him in that skill echelon for him to hang with QBs price wise. So it's a high, it speaks very highly of what people think of him.
Speaks very highly. It's also very exciting for me, and I think a lot of other people out there, to see a skill position player that has garnering the same value. Now, what's interesting is there's a lot of redemption cards still out there for Jamar Chase, but here we go. Now, this one I do believe is a variation, but $311. So going for a little bit more. What about the next hyped skill position player behind Jamar Chase? Let's look at Najee Harris. He's actually, this is interesting that you bring this up, poor man, because Najee Harris is a guy that I am advocating to sell right now heading into the 2022 season. He's actually a guy that has moved down in my ranking slightly. I've moved up Justin Jefferson. I've moved up Cooper Kupp, and I have moved down Najee Harris one. So Najee Harris is now actually my overall number 5 ranked player, whereas before I had him number 4. I've actually moved Jamar Chase ahead of Najee Harris. So I would expect Najee Harris to be around the same value here as this Davis Mills. Let's take a look at what his 2021 rookie ticket autos are going for.
Yeah, I think that just having the uncertainty at quarterback, and I mean, we know that Trubisky is going to start, but I think a lot of people have that uncertainty and are worried about their offense. I mean, it's realistically better than it was last year, and now they have Pickens, who's kind of putting the show on in the preseason. And I think that the only thing you really have to think of is he's not going to get the ball 30 plus times a game, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that he won't score as many points. He'll just be more efficient hopefully in the opportunities he has.
Okay, fair enough. So would you rather have Davis Mills rookie ticket auto for 150, right? Okay, so we got a Davis Mills rookie ticket auto for 170, a Najee Harris for 100, and the Jamar Chase for what, about 300 it looks like at this point, because so many of them are redemptions. It's hard to say because this one claims it's a variation. The way we can tell, though, is by looking at the back of it to see if it's got that little V in the football. So, yeah, so it's got the V. That's how you can tell it's a variation. And obviously, if you track the photo, then you would know by looking at that photo on the front that it's a variation. But so it looks like those base ones are redemptions only. Yeah, variation. A lot of redemptions. Championship ticket. These are numbered out of 49. It's going for crazy amounts. Variations. So we have to find then a Davis Mills variation if we want to really do this apples to apples, because the Najee, this Najee that we were looking at was a variation as well that went for 100. Probstein. So let's see if they got a picture of the back of the card to verify. Yes, indeed, it does have the variation. So this is the short print photo variation. It's also optic, which I like a lot better than the base, just because it's on a thicker cardstock. It doesn't have the same corner and edge whitening issues, which I think is nice. So let's see if we can find a Davis Mills variation. Here we go. So here's a variation that was sold August 7th for $170. So we're somewhere in between that range. Obviously, he's not to that level. I don't think Zach Wilson has fallen this far. Do you think Zach Wilson has fallen this far just because of the meniscus tear that he's having arthroscopic surgery on today? I mean, he should be back middle of September. He's got all those weapons. Crazy fan base up there in New York for Zach Wilson cards. And
I mean, I think that if you find some openings, he's not going to be gone for very long, and maybe miss maybe the first 2 regular season games, maybe 3.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a good buying opportunity if he's a guy you were looking to get into. I've seen some of his lower end middle range stuff, get through the cracks the past couple of days, but I don't think anyone's just going to sleep on his high end stuff just because he's missing a month.
What? Okay. Who do you? So we've talked about this several times, Steve. We know they're playing the Ravens in Week 1. Who do you think gives them a better chance of beating the Ravens in Week 1? Zach Wilson or Joe Flacco?
I mean, I would say Zach Wilson, but if Flacco does start, he played with the Ravens for a long time.
I think Joe Flacco gives them a better chance to win. I think there's still a lot of rookie in Zach Wilson. Honestly, I think that experience the confidence that Joe Flacco's got. He's got nothing to lose. So he's basically at the Ryan Fitzpatrick stage of his career. Why not go out there, make the most of your weapons? I would be surprised if Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson just went off. Corey Davis is out there too. Wouldn't be surprised if those guys went off. Then you got Breece Hall to put the hammer down, and if Sauce Gardner, like I've already watched, some of the limited film on Sauce Gardner from his NFL debut. Not bad. I mean, that wasn't bad. Wasn't anything like glaring that made him look bad. So, I mean, I think they have an interesting defense. They have some interesting players that they're building upon. And, okay, here's a variation of Zach Wilson. This is actually pretty low compared to where it was at the draft time. So you can see this has kind of cooled down, especially if you're putting a card to auction while a player's hurt. That's never a good idea, is it, Steve?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. You're going to, when you're putting a card out into auction, you want it to be like during a big hype week, after he scores multiple touchdowns or if they have like a huge, home game against a rivalry or something like that. So,
wow,
look at this. You want the odds to be on your side when you're listing auctions.
Numbered out of 21. So there you go, guys. There's a nugget for you guys. If you guys are believing in Zach Wilson, and now would be the time to target his cards in auction, because there are sellers out there that will just take market value. They'll take market value. They'll push a card to an auction, force a sale, get whatever money they can for it based on whatever hype there is now. They don't follow kind of our hype index parameters and kind of look at maybe they're not even looking at injury status. They're just moving cards, right? And now would be the time to target him in auction, because a card of that scarcity for that cheap, would you rather have the Zach Wilson or the Davis Mills heading into this season, Steve? Is about $200. Let's say they're the same price, $200, short print variation, rookie ticket auto, on card auto, Davis Mills, Zach Wilson. Who you got?
If I could get into them at the same price, I'd go for the Zach Wilson. I would.
How long have I not been sharing my screen?
10 minutes. I was wondering what you were like talking about short print variations. I'm like, that'd be cool if we could see it. But
okay, so
I would go Zach Wilson, and I just think that just even if they both play equally as good, like the fact that he plays for the Jets does have a little bit of a multiplier. Having Bears as my hometown team, I know that there is a luxury tax for having a major city team that you're a fan of.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I can get down with that, and that would kind of be the justification behind my decision as well. I think I would go Zach based on the fan base, and based on the draft pedigree. I think Zach's going to naturally have a longer leash because of the fan base, the market size, and the draft pedigree, the draft capital that they spent on him. It's just gonna keep his relevancy hanging around longer, even if he doesn't do as good. So Chris, great point here before we segue into our first major would you rather. We just did a would you rather. I'm glad to pull up my screen here. So there are several ways to tell if a card is short print. Typically any photo variation, if it's marked Prism on the back of the card and the standard card is not marked Prism, that's a way to tell. The silver Prism has that rainbow shine on the front. All your colored parallels, these cards that are green Pulsar, purple Power, red Cracked Ice, all these kind of cards are going to have a lower print run than the base card. They may have the same photo, but they have a lower print run, even though they're not serial numbered. Steve, is there anything you would add to that? What's your what would be your answer to Chris here?
Yeah, you hit a couple of really, really good ones. I think the most obvious way to tell is a serial number. If it's not serial numbered, to know what's short print and what's not. Like Andy said, most Panini cards have the Prism word Prism on the back, which will indicate that it is a Prism parallel. Now, there are some that don't, and it's important to know that there's some that are even more scarce that don't have serial numbers, like the snake skins and the the zebras and stuff like that. So unfortunately, there is a little bit of a learning curve for card scarcity, but as a rule of thumb, the base card is usually just like a silver, not so reflective texture, and then your holo parallels or colored parallels are going to indicate some degree of scarcity.
Wow, man. Yeah, excellent answer, Steve. I was caught off guard here by this response from Victor because, yeah, there were certain fantasy Twitter doctors out there that were crying it was an ACL tear Saturday night. And I'm like, are you kidding me? He didn't even hit anybody. If you look at the zoomed in slow-mo, it's like he didn't even hit anybody. It was a non-contact injury, and he tore his ACL. I'm like, this is not good for Zach Wilson. But I wasn't buying an ACL at that point. I'm like, dude, there's no way, right? But there were some fantasy doctors, and like Victor was able to clean up and capitalize on that fear-mongering tactic. And wow, incredible. Yeah, shout out to you, Victor. I think it'll be easy to profit off of that. What's going on, Jets Crazy? We got our Jets fan in the house, so we're just segueing from that whole would you rather between Zach and Davis Mills. But guys, while I got you all here, just a quick plug for later on after this live stream in about an hour, we are going to hop on to another live stream I've already got set up, so you should be able to see it on the channel. And we're going to get into a live real money fantasy football draft. I've already got a private draft set up on Underdog Fantasy. It's 5 out of 12 filled, so we have 7 spots open. If we fill that up, we're going to do a private 12-person best ball league. Promo code QUEST. If you're not already signed up with UnderdogFantasy.com, take advantage of the 100% instant deposit bonus. They also just released their $3 Pomeranian tournament, and so that is going to probably fill up by tomorrow. It's got $50,000 in prizes. First place is $5,000, and it's only a $3 entry. So you could literally sign up, put $10 in, get a free $10 instantly with promo code QUEST, and then you could do 6 of those and potentially win 50 grand by the end of the year. And you don't have to make any start-sit decisions on a weekly basis. Everything is optimized for you. You just have to do the draft. So it's basically like a paid mock draft. You draft a big team. You're trying to pick the guys that are going to perform the best throughout the season. And so we're also going to talk about round-by-round roster construction strategy. We're going to go through some of our favorite sleepers and stuff like that. It'll be a lot of fun. But I would like to fill up that private one so I can actually play against 11 of you guys privately, and that would be a lot of fun as well. So if we could do that, I'll post up the link in the chat here in a little bit. But my first would you rather, Steve, what's going on, Roddy, and Tom, I see you out there, Tom. My first would you rather is got to do with Najee Harris. So I've got a Najee Harris card pulled up here. Rookie ticket auto. This is a playoff ticket. So now we have the serial number on here. We know it's short print, Chris. So we got the playoff ticket numbered out of 99 here, Najee Harris, for $99. Or a Javonte Williams playoff ticket in a PSA 8 slab for $56.88. Let me pull up those side by side for you, so you guys can chime in on this. But we got the Najee going for 100. Let's assume that this is you're going to crack this out. So you're going to crack this out, and you're going to get probably about the same price, maybe a little bit less for this Javonte. But if you were forced to, if someone approached you with a gun to your head and said you've got to pick the guy that's going to have the higher card value by the end of the season or at some point throughout the season, which one would you go with here? Same price, same exact scarcity of card, same assets. We're going to crack this one out of the PSA 8 slab, so don't even really have to worry about that. Which one would you go with here, Steve? And why? Walk me through your thought process here.
Sure. Are we assuming that they're going to be the same price to purchase?
Yes. Okay. Assuming they're the same price to purchase, let's take an average of $75. You got 2 sellers that presented you with a $75 offer on both of these cards.
So here's a good take. I think that as a whole, I would rather go with Najee, but in this particular case, for card investments, I would go with Javonte because I do think the Broncos have that playoff push in them. Now, I'm not saying the Steelers can't, but it's just less likely. So I do think that there's growth in both, but I think that if Javonte and the Broncos go to the playoffs, semis, Super Bowl, you're looking at a huge, massive multiplier. It gives you the best chance for the patient resale rather than just the quick flip.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, and that's exactly why I would go with Javonte as well. And now we know workload is not going to be an issue for Najee Harris, but Pro Football Focus (PFF), which is one of the most accurate football grading services in the industry, has the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line ranked 30th out of 32 heading into this season, and so you could kind of see some of those struggles over the weekend in a limited capacity. And Javonte Williams got a much better offensive line, got a much better quarterback, so there's going to be a lot more red zone opportunities. Also, just an overall better roster as a whole, right? Better roster as a whole. You definitely have to give the edge. Like if we were looking at coaching, right, you'd say Mike Tomlin's a better head coach just based on experience and resume than Nathaniel Hackett with the Denver Broncos, right, Steve?
Yeah, you do. Derek was mentioning something that I've been talking about every week, and that's the Melvin Gordon effect. I do still think that he is in a timeshare, but I don't think that necessarily matters because they're in such a more high-octane offense. They're both going to have capabilities of being high-scoring running backs, regardless if they're splitting or not.
I agree with that. So, like, if you look at Javonte Williams' snap share, let's say Melvin Gordon doesn't get injured, and he's already struggling with a little bit of an injury. It doesn't look like it's going to hold him out long. It's holding him out of practice. But let's just say that Melvin Gordon, it's about the same as it was last year. So the opportunity share for Javonte, it was almost 50-50. If I'm looking at the snap share, he had a 50% snap share. The only other running back in that backfield that's any competition or gets any time really is Melvin Gordon. So they had pretty much a 50-50 split, and he showed he was very competent, had 43 receptions, 203 rushing attempts, but only 7 touchdowns. With bringing Russell Wilson in and having just a better offense in general is going to lead to more red zone opportunities, and I could absolutely see Javonte Williams having roughly the same amount of production he did last year, was about 1,200 all scrimmage yards, but now all of a sudden instead of 7 touchdowns, he gets 12. And those extra 5 touchdowns could be key. They could be game-winning touchdowns. They could be touchdowns that could put the hammer on another team when you're up. Positive game script scenario, which we could see the Broncos being in a few of those this year. So I like Javonte from that standpoint as well. I just think the upside is tantalizing just because of the entire supporting cast there on the Denver Broncos compared to the Pittsburgh Steelers and their really bad offensive line and the questionable quarterback play. Like, another question that I pose is, how many games is Mitchell Trubisky going to start this year, Steve? And I want to ask all you guys out there the same thing. I want to hear from everybody. Let's go ahead and take bets now. We could look back on this at the end of the year and see who was right, and we'll give whoever was right some kind of award, at least bragging rights.
Well, I'm going to, have a little bit of a personal bias, but I think as long as they're in the running, Trubisky stays at the helm. As long as he's not sucking, if they're out of it with half the season left for some reason, like he's toast. But I think he plays at least 9.
You're above consensus. We got 6 from Derek, got 3 from Victor. Derek voted twice. Oh, okay. He made sure to specify what the 6 was for. Late Stick said 2. So we got a varying different opinions. He's a polarizing player. Mason Rudolph has had a good camp. It looks like Kenny Pickett is developing at a good rate. And when you have guys on your wide receiver depth chart like George Pickens, it's easy to develop faster. You just throw that ball up for that dude. Yeah, that's the problem, is you got a hometown guy now and a rookie that you just spent a first-round draft pick on and Kenny Pickett, and that fan base is rabid. And so I'm just wondering how long it is before, like, if Trubisky does not play well and they're not winning games, like how long can they take that pressure cooker of that Pittsburgh fan base, putting that pressure on that front office and coaching staff to play, whether it's Pickett or Mason Rudolph over Trubisky. So that's my only. I don't know. I'm curious what the. Let me see if there's Vegas odds on them. There probably is.
And you mentioned this last week, and I think Carter mentioned it too, about how Bears fans are all rooting for Trubisky to do well, even though he's not on the team anymore, right? Because we know that he kind of got shafted here. But I think that even though the Steelers as a home organization, like, I don't really care too much about them, like them taking a quarterback in the first round totally irked me, because I wanted the opportunity to finally see him in like a good offense and what he can do. So hopefully they actually give him the chance over there.
Yeah. I think that sounds about right. 6 to 8 games.
Was there a line?
Derek said laugh out loud would be a typical Chicago move. Steve, I think he's implying you may be a product of your environment up there in Chicago.
Well, rooting for guys that get traded away.
Yeah, or just spending a first round draft pick on a player that you didn't necessarily need, like the fan base didn't feel that you need, or that the talent profile wasn't there for that high of a pick.
Well, there's two components to that. You have high expectations from the city, from the fans, right? But you have low development ability from the Bears front office for any kind of offensive player whatsoever. So that's why, I don't know, I can't name more than a handful of guys that we've drafted on offense that actually panned out, you know?
So Kenny Pickett, Kenny Two Gloves hitting dingers. Yeah, I think I saw Kenny Pickett have a nice touchdown pass to George Pickens today, which is no surprise. I don't know. He was playing with the ones today in 2-minute drill? I'm pretty sure that's right. I think I saw that somewhere as well. So,
you know, it's interesting what Derek said. If you look at his comment, there's a lot of people that, and I myself included, think that if Mahomes went to a really bad team with someone that couldn't develop a quarterback, would he be the same person? And that's something that I think that, we kind of take for granted when we do fantasy football or when we invest in cards and stuff like that, is you might have a guy with all the right skills and abilities, but just the wrong situation. And those guys sometimes get forgotten and ridden out of the league,
Very true. When you get tweets like this from Steelers Now, Pickett ran with the first team for the first time on Tuesday. What does it mean? Oh, boy, you got tweets like this from RG3 about his first preseason appearance. Oh, boy, baby. RG3 said Pickett had Pittsburgh rocking. The tape shows he was decisive in his decision-making, used his legs in crucial moments. And how about the game winner on an out route from the opposite hash? So, interesting. So, yeah, I mean, Trubisky, we'll give him 6 to 8 before there's a riot there in Pittsburgh.
Hey, to be fair, Niners were winning a couple games under the guise of elderly quarterback and young running back play for Jamal Charles, Priest Holmes, quite a few guys. So they didn't make it to several Super Bowls in a row, but that's a whole different story.
All right, I'm going to pull up my next Would You Rather here. What's going on, Sean? Glad to have you in the house, man. Pulling up our next Would You Rather. If you guys are just jumping in, if you would do us a huge favor and hit that like button, let the YouTube algorithm know we got a good stream going here. That also gets us some more people in the stream, gets the word out there about growing the love for skill position players, football cards, man. We got to get some of these guys' values up more along the lines of quarterbacks, because a couple of those running backs we just talked about are better than probably half of the quarterbacks in the league. So we want to work on that.
Yeah, and I do think that I'd have to say that there's at least a progression over the past couple of years.
All right. There has been and that's the thing. There absolutely has been a progression. It's just not nearly to the potential that I think it could be at. So that's why I constantly try and recruit people to help us grow this quest, grow this mission. All right, so I've got the next would you rather for you, because these are a couple more guys that are moving down and up in my rankings. So the first one here, Steve, let me go ahead and share, make sure I'm sharing my screen this time. All right, so the first one is a 2020 rookie ticket auto. This is short print variation. Again, Cam Akers here, that closed out an auction yesterday for $36. Okay, Los Angeles Rams, RB1. I've actually moved him down slightly in my rankings behind Breece Hall. I've got Breece Hall at 8, Christian McCaffrey at 9. Now I'm talking about like my hype index rankings. So you're thinking, whoa, you got Christian McCaffrey at 9. Well, this incorporates dynasty rankings. So I'm taking their age and contract situation into factor. I'm also taking a team score into factor that accounts their power ranking, the popularity of their team, the amount of people that live in their geographical region, the amount of Facebook page likes that they have. It's also taken into account their prior production, their prior performance, their athletic profile. It's taken their Hall of Fame marker, and it's mashing all that together. And then, so whatever their expectations are, we're going to take that away from their current production. Right now, we don't have any current production to take away from expectations, and that's why there is such a tight correlation between card values and where players are being drafted in fantasy drafts at ADP. It's very easy. It's very easy to draw the correlation. Where it's not easy is at the end of the season in December, and you're like, well, this guy's an RB2, but his card prices are like at RB15 level. But they don't mention that the team he's on is 3-12. It's like, come on, bro. So there's a lot of other factors that go into it than just performance. So that's what the hype index is looking at. So Cam Akers is actually a guy that I'm moving down slightly, Steve, and J.K. Dobbins is actually a guy that I'm moving up because of his recovery timeline, his injury status, also that Baltimore Ravens offense, I feel like is ascending into this year. And I think they're going to restructure Lamar Jackson's contract, and I think it's going to be a big year for the Ravens. So my would you rather in this situation between these two 2020 running backs is, would you rather same. So let's just go with this one, for example, so I don't have to dig really far because they're pretty close in value. And this one also appears to be a short print. Yeah, you can see the V in the football up there. So that's how you know it's a short print variation. Also, you could tell that has a helmet on it. It doesn't have just the team logo. It's got the helmet. Got the helmet of that one. So let's break these out. All right, guys. Which one would you rather have? Same price.
I think this one's a more clear-cut answer for me. I'm going Dobbins, 100%.
All right, we got one for Dobbins. Anybody else out there for Dobbins on this? Is this pretty clear-cut? Is this a – Derek Richards says neither. It goes neither.
I think
Bush Leaguers, what's going on, man? He said he just bought 4 Dobbins Select numbered stuff, just got done bidding on an orange Pulsar to 7 for 70. Wow, man, super rare. Nice. Congrats on that. Looks like we got a lot of Dobbins fans in the house.
So there's some similarities. They're both on really good teams. The Rams have a high potential of going back to the Super Bowl, whereas the Ravens have a good chance of going to the playoffs. But Dobbins is probably going to be, if healthy, a feature back, and he's going to surprise a lot of people because he was hurt last year. Akers, I think, is still going to kind of be in a timeshare with Darrell Henderson, and he's still kind of recovering from the Achilles. Now he's pain-free as far as the ability to play, but I was watching a doctor talk about Achilles injuries, and he mentioned that they don't have the same, not durability, but like you can't like cut as hard off of them and stuff like that for almost 2 years. So that's something to keep in the back of your mind.
Yeah, and they're both kind of coming off injuries, but I guess your point, the explosiveness rating of Cam Akers would be more limited by the Achilles recovery than Dobbins' ACL tear recovery. And Dobbins is one of the most explosive players we've ever seen come out of college from Ohio State. Was absolutely dominant, gets drafted in the second round, ran a 4.32 on his pro day. That puts him at a 99th percentile 40-yard dash score, 96th percentile height-adjusted speed score at 5'10", 209. So, I mean, the dude is one of the most explosive runners that we have seen.
Yeah, I think that the Dobbins show has been put on hold because of his injuries in his career thus far. But I think that for those that haven't been keeping an eye on the guy, I think they're going to be surprised.
It was such a shame because he was so hyped up heading into last season when he got took that helmet to his knee and just shattered his knee for the year. But I'm optimistic, and he was already calling out Ian Rappaport and stuff about him being ready by week 1. So excited. I would rather have Dobbins at the same price point as well here, Steve. I think even though he doesn't get as much work in the receiving game, like Lamar Jackson's notorious for not checking down to his running backs, I still think you have such a clear advantage to Dobbins in his backfield than Cam Akers in his backfield in his current situation. And Cam Akers has already, I think, been banged up with something here in training camp as well. So Cam Akers, to me, has a little bit higher fragility rating. I think even more so than Dobbins. I think Dobbins was one major injury, so we'll see. It's I try to pick ones that are tough to pick between, but it looks like we got a clear winner here in Dobbins. So
someone mentioned all the other running backs on the Ravens too, and I think the only reason that there was such a big committee used is because he wasn't there, right? If he's healthy, they're going to use maybe 2 or 3 running backs because they run the ball so much, but I think he's going to be the feature guy. With Akers, I think that it'll be more of a timeshare this year than it was last year. They had a chance to see Henderson and how good he is, even in the receiving game. So I think there'll be a little bit more of a clear timeshare there than there will be with Baltimore.
Dude, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I'm seeing some Clyde Edwards-Helaire talk in the chat. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has moved down a lot in my rankings, guys. Not going to lie. That guy's got a super high fragility rating. Also has not come anywhere close to where he was drafted in the first round by the Chiefs. I don't think they're going to be taking Patrick Mahomes' advice on future running back selections in the first round. But I still think he is kind of their right as of right now, until Isaiah Pacheco takes over that backfield, just because he's younger, he's more rocked up, and he is explosive. Maybe Isaiah Pacheco takes over that backfield at some point down the stretch this season. But as of right now, it looks like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. The depth charts were just released yesterday. And if I remember correctly, I'm seeing Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Yeah, he's still the running back 1, but Isaiah Pacheco has moved up to the 2. McKinnon's moved up to the 3. Ronald Jones has moved down to the 4, splitting time with Derek Gore, and who's an undrafted free agent out of 2019. So there's potential that Ronald Jones even gets cut from the team. That's how bad he's had a camp in preseason so far. So the Ronald Jones stock is falling off of a cliff, along with Kenyon Drake. Him and Kenyon Drake jumped off the cliff without parachutes, it looks like.
Yeah, I don't know. You got to wonder about these guys sometimes. And he went to a good team, and maybe he just didn't take the offseason serious enough. And some of these young guys have a chip on their shoulder, and they're going to, work hard to learn the playbook and to work out in the gym harder. And nobody was talking about Pacheco before a month ago or a few weeks ago. And all of a sudden people are saying this is a guy to watch.
Yeah, I mean, he went to Rutgers. It looks like Pacheco was misused there potentially. He didn't get drafted till the 7th round. Like, he had a terrible efficiency in college, but his dominator rating wasn't bad. Didn't have many targets, but his athleticism is off the charts. He's actually comparable to a sleeper that I like in Anthony McFarland behind Najee Harris. But if you look at Pacheco's athleticism metrics, I mean, they're off the chart. A 4.37, a runs of 4.37, 98th percentile height adjusted speed score, 5'10", 216. So you can see how the raw metrics are there to develop someone into a good running back. That explosiveness. And if he's reliable, he stays healthy, he's able to learn the offensive playbook and develop rapport and chemistry with Mahomes and take that ball and run with it, then, I can absolutely see him moving up the depth chart with this kind of speed and athleticism. Look at the Raheem Mosterts of the league or the Aaron Jones of the league and stuff like that. That's the Elijah Mitchell last year. So I don't know. It's interesting. Obviously, he's not the number one yet, but he's quickly climbing that. It's too bad he has absolutely nothing to invest in. With it being a 7th round draft pick from Rutgers, he has literally nothing. You can go get a helmet or a signed jersey. I think I found some of that on eBay that sold, but literally no cards. So Panini's going to have to figure something out to print some of his cards, especially on the Kansas City Chiefs, which are one of the highest power ranked teams in the league now.
Somebody mentioned Frank Gore in the chat. I got to say, Andy, you might know that I'm a Frank Gore fan. I'd buy a Chiefs jersey if Frank Gore got signed there, even if it was for one season. But this Pacheco guy, man, could be a serious weapon. I mean, even as a not full-time player, in an offense that has a lot of vacated targets all of a sudden, that's definitely a guy you want to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and I guess it's not even so much the targets that I'm looking at. It's more of like you're on the Kansas City Chiefs offense with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid as your play caller, and there's going to be a lot of red zone opportunities. A lot of games that are shootouts, a lot of red zone opportunities, and defenses naturally just move back. The first time that Mahomes hits Juju or Sky Moore or Marquez Valdes-Scantling or Kelsey for 20-plus yards down the field, all of a sudden those safeties and those linebackers start moving back, and then they move back. Okay, let's give Pacheco the ball. Let's set him up to absolutely smash. With 4.3 speed, that kind of speed and explosiveness, he could take some of those plays to the house, and break off some big runs. And now all of a sudden they're getting gashed up underneath. And so you combine those two things together, that makes for a really a lot of production, and you can get some serious hype in a quick amount of time. And you can see here, this is it. This is the only thing out there for Pacheco. Signed football, signed jerseys. I thought it was a helmet. Okay, here we go. We got the helmet. We got the authentic Rutgers Scarlet Knights autographed mini helmet from Isaiah Pacheco. And so that's really all there is, man. That's it. There's no cards. So, that's pretty cool.
If you purchased the new Madden game recently, you're excited for next week's update when he's in the game, I'm sure.
Wow, check this out, man. Someone took a Super Bowl ball to camp and got all the players to sign it, and now it's on eBay for $500. It's got 5 watchers. It's pretty cool.
That'd be a nice thing to get authenticated, huh?
Yeah. Got Pacheco's autograph on there, folks. Sean says, "Thanks for the amazing play." not a real play. Let's go back to the would you rather board. Let's move on here to the next player that is moving down my rankings. The next one that may be moving up here, Steve. Or wait, let me stop. Do you have a guy that's moving down your rankings that you want to present in the next scenario?
Down my rankings? Oh, man. Well, I would say Antonio Gibson.
Oh, yes. He's definitely moving down my rankings.
I don't like to say it because he's got the talent to be a top 10 back, top 5 back, but he's having fumbling issues, and the coaches are not a fan of fumbling, and apparently one of his coaches isn't a fan of him. So that could be an interesting guy to watch for maybe a trade, and hopefully they don't relegate him to third down and special teams. That would all but bury his card values.
So his rookie ticket autos are now down under $20. Looking at this one 2 days ago, $18. Yep, best offer accepted 14 on August 14th, which coincidentally that was, well, today's Tuesday, so that was Sunday. So it was the day after he fumbled his second carry of the game, which led rise to Brian Robinson kind of taking over, putting the ball in the end zone for a touchdown. Now all of a sudden it's like, what's going on with Gibson? We know that they have loyalty to JD McKissick. We know that the Washington Redskins have. So he's really in between a rock and a hard place, right? Because you have guys like Curtis Samuel, and now you've added Jahan Dotson with a first-round pick. So you have clear receiving weapons, plus Curtis Samuel can play that gadget role, kind of like a Deebo Samuel. Now you could use Antonio Gibson in that role, but if he's got fumbling issues and other coaching issues, now all of a sudden we're looking at a potential, like him really plummeting down depth charts, which is kind of wild. Like I think you have to invest at him at your own risk at this point. I hate to say it. I know Late Stick's out there. He's a big Commanders fan. He's been investing in Antonio Gibson. I've got several rookie ticket auto Antonio Gibsons that I'm stashed here in my collection that I'm like not happy about this news at all, but I know he's got the athletic profile to really execute at a high level and put out some big breakaway runs. Of course, the Commanders brand as a whole is down right now. We're not really projecting them to make any type of playoff appearance. So he's a guy that is moving way down my hype index rankings right now, Steve.
Yeah, maybe there's a squad out there that is a little thin at running back that, wants to take a swing on the guy, which, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. If you're the Commanders, putting a guy that has that kind of trade value somewhere on your bench would just be a huge mistake. If you're confident in the guys you've drafted and keeping McKissick around, maybe they should just move him, and that'll be good for the hobby, and that'll be good for whatever team ends up getting them.
Okay, so let's compare 2020 rookie ticket auto Antonio Gibson to 2021 rookie ticket auto Elijah Mitchell. And maybe he's going for a little bit more. Here's one that was accepted best offer, maybe around 20. Here's one that closed an auction 2 days ago for 23. This is base version. So yeah, we're going to compare base to base here. Let's go back to that screen and pull up those side by side so we can get it. There we go. Okay. Thanks for the help there, computer. My computer's feeling overworked already. It's not allowed to feel overworked, computer. I'm not allowed. The stream demands your maximum processing output power here. Okay.
Man, look at those $13.
It's super cheap, right? But this is where we're at with Antonio Gibson, unfortunately.
I think that if you look at the last week, I think you could probably get, it's probably about the same price as like the Trey Sermons have been going for.
Trey Sermon, the guy who's moving up, man. The guy's moving up, getting clear playing time ahead of Tyrion Davis-Price, who earlier in the offseason was going ahead of him just because he was a rookie, drafted with third-round pick. They're like, oh, Kyle Shanahan, rookie, third-round pick. Trey Sermon's kind of rocked up. He had some interesting statistics from LSU. Now all of a sudden, Trey Sermon's like, yeah, but they spent I think they spent a third-round pick on Trey Sermon as well. Let me look at the depth chart here for San Francisco 49ers. Yeah, Trey Sermon is actually the RB3. So it goes Elijah Mitchell, RB1, Jeff Wilson Jr., the number 2, Trey Sermon's the number 3, third-round pick from 2021, Tyrion Davis-Rice, RB4, third-round pick from 2022. So who do you got between these two guys, Elijah Mitchell or Antonio Gibson? Or is that pretty easy?
I think it's Mitchell, and I know that there's a little bit of a three-headed monster projected, but I still think he leads that committee. With Gibson, you just got to be a little concerned right now that what's his path to starting at this point, right? Are they going to give him another chance? Are they not going to give him another chance? With Elijah Mitchell, we know from last year that when he's healthy, he's going to play well. He does have a little bit of competition, but I mean, he had competition last year too, and he kind of outlasted them despite the injuries. You know, he put up when he was on the field.
What if I put teammate against teammate and we went Trey Sermon, Elijah Mitchell?
I'm not saying that the window's closed on Trey Sermon, but if you look at what you could have got his cards for like even a week or more ago compared to now, that gap is definitely closing. And I'm not saying that he's hit his ceiling just yet, but I'd be a little hesitant to start spending big money on Trey Sermon.
Well, you comped it out. You found an optic base rookie ticket auto for $5 less than the Elijah Mitchell. You can get in. This was an auction that actually ended last night for $18.28. And so basically you have the same $20 that you're investing here. You pick between, I'd say from an autograph. I like Trey Sermon's autograph. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that EM looks kind of raggedy, but I would still go with Elijah Mitchell.
Interesting. I think a Trey Sermon does have an interesting like bruiser type of profile, right? He doesn't have the same speed as Elijah Mitchell, but he's built more like a Damian Harris type of guy. You know, he's 6 foot, 215, still really young, right? He had a really high average yards per carry in college of 7.5, came out of Ohio State, so he went to a bigger school. But if we look at his injury history, and this is what's important here, look at the injury history. His major injury last year was an ankle sprain that held him out 8 weeks. And he actually popped up on the injury report twice with an ankle sprain. Ankle sprain held him out 12 weeks last year. He also got a concussion. It was like a weird concussion that held him out a couple weeks. Maybe he got hit with COVID too. He only played 9 games. Or maybe it was just the ankle sprain that held him out 8 games. But Elijah Mitchell also missed a bunch of games already. I mean, not as many, obviously. Like Elijah Mitchell won some people their fantasy leagues last year. He played in 2 more games. He got 11 in. Still missed some games. Obviously, San Francisco Niners need depth at running back based on how Kyle Shanahan uses these guys. But Mitchell dealt with a concussion, a knee injury that held him out a week, a finger fracture that held him out a week, a shoulder strain that held him out of 2 weeks. So it was a bunch of different things, and I'm just wondering that if, based on his archetype, he is not more predisposed to being injured, almost like Carter and I were talking earlier today, like a guy like Reggie Bush, you know? So I don't know, man. At this point in the preseason, based on where the current hype is kind of building, I would go Trey Sermon.
You know, it's interesting because whatever happens the first couple weeks might kind of set people's minds on who they're going to invest in this year. And if you're holding the right guy, that could be a little bit of a coin flip. So it is a bit risky with either one, I think.
Yeah, a bit risky with either one, but we want pieces of that 49ers running attack, man, because we know that whichever guy stays healthy, he's going to put up some impressive numbers. And with how good their defense is, like, dude, that defense is stacked, man. The 49ers defense is good. Those guys are super talented. So I do see them winning a good, fair amount of games this year. He's obviously, Kyle Shanahan's one of the brightest play callers in the league. So we feel confident about them making another playoff push. NFC West, of course, it's a pretty stacked NFC division. It's probably one of the most stacked NFC divisions with the Rams and the Cardinals, which the Cardinals, you could argue, have a dysfunctional team heading into this season. So there's a lot of ambiguity there as well, but certainly the Seahawks are, the dumpster fire of that division. But I could definitely absolutely see the 49ers at least grabbing a wild card spot just based on their run game and defense, and whatever running back gets to shine there in San Fran, we know is going to kind of pop, in value at any given point throughout the season. So that's a very interesting situation that you kind of want a piece of. It's just which one do you target, or maybe you just go and get some exposure to each one of them. For $20, you take $60 and go buy you a rookie ticket auto at each of them.
Yeah, then that's not bad. Because I mean, here the argument for what you said is that it's not necessarily where they finish by the end of the year. It's you could pick them up for 20, list them for 30, 35, and then just wait for one of them to have a bust out week,
Billy throwing up a snipe in the chat, $20, 2021 Phoenix Trey Sermon rookie gold dual patch auto, 62 out of 75. Appreciate that, Billy. Appreciate that. All right, so I've got one more would you rather, and I'm gonna have to go back to all my rankings. I think we have one more would you rather scenario here that we have time for tonight. Maybe pick a good one, man. Do you have one, Steve, or do you want me to throw this one up?
Let's see what you got.
Okay, I'm going to pivot and go to wide receivers here to mix it up a little bit, to make things interesting. We're going to stick with the skill position theme because we hit on some 2021 rookie quarterbacks earlier in the stream, and now I want to go with wide receivers here. Let me see if I can find two guys from the same draft class to make it a really easy comparison. A guy that is moving up in my rankings, a guy that is moving down in my rankings. Maybe I play at your heartstrings here a little bit. Ooh. This is interesting.
Is it Brian Edwards? Just kidding.
No, the depth chart came out today on the Falcons, and Brian Edwards is wide receiver 4 on that depth chart.
Interesting.
Let me just confirm that. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I want to say Drake London is still 5. He should be ready by week 1, by the way. He did suffer a minor, like a bone bruise or something on his knee. But yeah, if you look at the Falcons depth chart, Drake London, wide receiver 1. Kaderil Hodge, wide receiver 2, an undrafted free agent out of 2018. Olamide Zaccheaus, 2019 undrafted free agent, number 3. Brian Edwards, number 4. So it's not good for your guy, but it does show that he did not practice. He's not practicing right now. So I don't.
Yeah, he's been out a little bit.
Yeah, so maybe that's because he's not practicing. He's not able to play. He's not able to prove himself out there. So that's not going to help his cause at all. So he's going to continue to stay dirt cheap. A combination of that with the Falcons. So we don't want to include him as part of our ranking because he's really low on my current rankings. Let me do this though, because I'm gonna pull at your heartstrings a little bit here and see which one you would go with. Okay, I've got a good one. This one's epic, dude. This one is epic because these are two of the hottest, like, mid-tier wide receivers this offseason. Okay, so we're gonna go 2020 rookie ticket auto, Gabriel Davis.
Oh boy.
We're going Gabe Davis, and I can't wait to see the uproar in the chat over this one. So I found an optic base contenders rookie ticket auto, Gabriel Davis. Oh, it's currently for $75. Maybe we go live auctions, or this is a buy it now, live buy it now here on eBay, $75. Buy it now. Optic. This is up a lot. I remember when I could get this card for $20 or less. And or the next option, the would you rather, is going to be a 2020 rookie ticket auto T Higgins.
Oof. That's a toughie.
There we go. Okay, and so I am on sold transactions. You could see there was a couple that actually sold in the past few days, the past 5 days. For around that same price. So we're going to assume we get them in the exact same price. We're going to open up this T. Higgins. We're going to put them side by side. Optic contenders, rookie ticket autos. Let's see. Get that Gabe Davis out here. Go there. Do like one of these. Hang in there, computer. You can do this. All right. There you go, guys. Would you rather? Where's Gabe Davis? I know he would vouch for himself in this situation.
or would he?
All right.
So here's the thing is, man, I am big on Gabe Davis. I think that's not a mystery by any means. But Andy, you might know this about me. I think T. Higgins is in the realm of Jamar Chase. He's in the realm. So I'm going T. Higgins, and I have a lot of awesome T. Higgins cards that I've been just not willing to part with yet because I don't quite think he's hit his proper price pinnacle. And I think T. Higgins is a good get.
Yeah, man, it's tough, but you look at it and you say, okay, T. Higgins got 110 targets last year. In fact, you look at, hey, someone's trying to buy one of my cards. Pretty cool. Yeah, I'll probably accept that after the stream. So T. Higgins got over 100 targets last year, 110 targets, put up over 1,000 receiving yards, and during the time he was on the field with Jamar Chase, their numbers were very similar. Like, we know for a fact that Joe Burrow targets whichever receiver is open, and it's not he has a very strong connection with Jamar Chase, but he also has a strong connection with T. Higgins, and he's proven that since T. Higgins' rookie year, when T. Higgins was also putting up incredible numbers. And regardless of the quarterback that played after Joe Burrow got hurt, T. Higgins was still balling out. Like, T. Higgins is really freaking good. Like, if you look at his average yards per reception in college, and of course he's a big reason why Trevor Lawrence was so good at Clemson, and he broke out at such a young age. And I look at Gabriel Davis, and of course there's a difference in draft capital, right? Gabe Davis doesn't go to the 4th round. T. Higgins goes to the beginning of the 2nd. They're about the same age. Obviously you have a little bit more speed out of T. Higgins. It's pretty close, though. These players are pretty similar here, Steve. If you look at Gabe Davis, he's 6'2", 216, a 4'5". You know, what did he do last year? He only got 63 targets. So he literally got 50 fewer targets than T. Higgins. And we know the Bills throw the ball a lot, but Stephon Diggs is very good. Isaiah McKenzie out of the slot, very good. Tyler Boyd out of the slot for the Bengals is very good. I think it comes down to who's going to throw the ball more. Probably Joe Burrow, just because he doesn't have the same mobility as Josh Allen. I know Bills throw the ball a lot, but Josh Allen also runs the ball quite a bit. You know, he's got one of the safest rushing floors. And Gabe Davis, I mean, we would expect him to take a much bigger step this year to equate, I think, the same production from T. Higgins. It's close because this could be the Bills' year to go to the Super Bowl. And we obviously saw what Gabe Davis did in the championship game last year. So, and that's what a lot of people are basing their Gabe Davis takes off of now heading into the season. But you look at the overall, like, season-long projection, it's got to be T. Higgins, right?
T. Higgins has, like, production under his belt, whereas Gabe Davis doesn't. But again, we're talking about speculative card buying here, right? And you can absolutely not disagree with the fact that Gabe Davis's cards are, like, really high from where they were, you know, before the last couple weeks of the season right there. And it's hard to say where they'll end up, but I think that he does have a good season, and he's now in a starting position where he's the number 2 wideout. So his prices could still go up, let's be honest. But I think as far as a safer and more likely play, I think T. Higgins is 2 good seasons under his belt. He's on the Bengals. He's got Joe Burrow. I just think that he's on a path to being good, great, possibly. I think that I get a lot of the Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison vibe from him and Jamar Chase. So take that for what it is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm totally on board here with T. Higgins as well. I like exposure to both, but if I was forced to pick between a would you rather between these two, I'm going to go T. Higgins as well, man. And so, no, I appreciate you walking us through that. That was a fun exercise. Appreciate that super chat, Derek. Appreciate that super chat. You're a good man. And Annoy, this is perfect timing because we're here at the end of the draft. Draft Tyler Boyd in fantasy, he says. Well, that's what exactly we're going to do right now, guys. So Let's see if the draft is almost full. Let's pull it up. What do we got? Well, it looks like we may be doing this Pomeranian Superflex, guys. So let me share this in the chat. We're going to hop over to underdogfantasy.com. There's another stream that's already set up that's on the channel. So if you got those notifications set up, you'll immediately see that pop up and you'll be able to sign in. We're going to do an underdog fantasy draft. They got a $3 Superflex draft going right now with a potential to win 50 grand. First place prize. You can use promo code Quest, get 100% instant deposit bonus at signups. And that's what we're about to do. We're now going to hop over to a fantasy football draft on Underdog on the other stream. And boom. Nick coming in late. We do have a couple minutes, Nick, and we don't want to leave you stranded without answering your question, sir, because we are so thankful for our community. And what does Nick got here? Thoughts on the general card market taking a big dip again in November through January? I think some stuff could take a big hit with a combination of the mid-season low and the $18 cards coming back. No, I mean, I think you're going to have the same guys on losing teams taking a dip between November and January, but you're not going to have guys taking a dip that are breaking out, that are on winning teams, that are front runners in their positional categories and heading into the playoffs. And a lot of those cards coming back from PSA are never going to make it to eBay, brother. A lot of those cards coming back from PSA are going to be stashed in people's collections. Only a small percentage, I think, are going to actually make it to eBay, so it's not going to really affect. Honestly, November through January is a great time to buy good athletes on bad teams, and you stash them for the draft hype cycle of next year. But overall, I do not see that our hobby taking a big decline by then at all. What say you, Steve?
Yeah, when people say it took a dip, I think it's more of just a correction. In the 2000s, beginning of COVID, everything just went off, like almost unrealistic prices. So there has to be a correction at some point. The housing market does that. The stock market does that. So I wouldn't say that it's like in a slump. It's more of like along the lines of, where it should be for a more stable long run.
There you go. Yeah. I like that analysis as well. It's like, how high could you possibly expect a Patrick Mahomes, even though it's Patrick Mahomes? How high could you possibly expect his 2017 rated rookie card to get? It's already at $200 now. Like, how high could that card possibly get? There's a ton of success baked into that. So, it's hard for me to see some of these quarterback prices. That's why I don't think, like a rookie ticket auto of a good athlete, even if he's a running back, I don't see it getting much lower than $10, $15, $20. There's nowhere for it to really go. Like, you could even look at guys from yesteryear, from like the early to mid 2000s who aren't even playing anymore, who had mid-tier careers. They're skill position players. That card's still going to sell for like $5, that card's still going to sell for $5. So some of these modern players are not much above that. So there's really nowhere for them to go down a whole lot. Some of them only have room to go up. Right now, a lot of stuff is appreciating, is going up. There's definitely going to be a pullback, like you said, a correction on a lot of those guys, whereas other guys will maintain that value, potentially appreciate throughout the season. And we can only be hopeful that we're holding those guys, or we're setting ourselves up strategically to sell now, like I'm about to do with my Deebo Samuel when I end the stream, and then you buy back in potentially end of November, early December, when you are going through that mid-season low, only to flip again in the playoff cycle, or to flip again in the free agency draft hype cycle. Like, why not target DK Metcalf cards in the end of November, beginning of December, because he's so freaking good, in the hopes that Seattle is getting a Bryce Young or CJ Stroud in next year's draft and dramatically improving their quarterback situation. All of a sudden, you got a ton of hype for DK Metcalf again. We could see that happen with could happen with the Jets. I think somebody earlier, or maybe even that was you, Steve, to potentially tank their season. That was Derek. I'm pretty sure that was Derek actually in my DMs and talking about how they could potentially tank their season towards the end to go ahead and replace Zach Wilson next year. So you never know, man. So those type of situations. So it's always makes sense to invest in good athletes on bad teams at the end of November, early December, to have those cards ready to flip 2, 3, sometimes 4 or 5x your money in the free agency and draft hype cycle that following year, just a few months later after the Super Bowl's over. And people actually reflect on the season like, oh, wait a minute, that guy's good. And he's about to get a big quarterback upgrade because that's what the news is talking about now that the Super Bowl's over, you know?
And don't forget, it's not just the market that fluctuates, it's the players themselves. So everything's about timing. So if you're getting in when, the market's down or a player's stock is down, you get a little nice role reversal when the player's stock is up and the market sees an influx, and you're in a prime position to sell. So I would say be patient. I know I say that a lot on the weekly stream, but if you're in it for a top flip, you're trying to get the most out of the card, you're just going to have to be patient.
Yep, very true, very true. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed tonight's stream. Hop over to the fantasy football draft stream that we're getting ready to start up on Underdog Fantasy.
We got
Come draft 18. Come draft a team with us. Appreciate that, WI Wisconsin Cards, if that is what WI is short for. I'm hoping Zay Jones has a good year too, man. I just got a few of his cards in the mail. Super pumped about him. Yeah, let's hop over there and let's do it to it. All right, guys. Peace.